Hi, I'm Dawn with the James Kennedy Public Library, and this video is going to be all about Goodreads, one of my favorite things. Goodreads was founded in 2006, and officially they describe themselves as an American social cataloging website. Basically, it is a web-based database that allows individuals to sign up for free and to catalog all the books they've read or want to read, post updates on what they're currently reading, evaluate all of those books with ratings and reviews. It also includes a huge database containing annotations, quotes, and other reviews that you can access. And you can access all of this using either their website or the app that they have for the smart device. I have been using Goodreads since 2011 and I love it. As a voracious reader, I find it indispensable for managing my books. It's an easy way to track what I want to read, what I have read, what I own, and see how I've rated those things. I can see what my friends are reading. I also use both the website and the app. They are integrated, and so you can use one or the other or both. Obviously, the app has some limitations compared to the website due to the fact it's designed for a small handheld device. But one of the nicest things about Goodreads is that it is very easily customizable for what you need. So this video is going to be in two parts. This first part is going to be a general tour of the website using my personal Goodreads account so you can see it in action. The second part of this video is going to be longer and it's going to be an actual tutorial, and I will walk you through the steps to customize your account and use it. And I hope you will stay for the whole video, but I understand if you just want to watch the general overview. So I am going to show you my Goodreads account. So goodreads.com is the website. And again, it is free. So obviously my account is sort of in progress, which is why I wanted to use this one. So when you log on to Goodreads, the first thing you'll see is over here on the left is what you are currently reading. So you can see I'm reading these two books, For the Love and Finding Father Christmas. Down the center here this is where if you friend people on Goodreads, which I highly recommend doing because it's always interesting to see what other people are reading, you will see what they're reading, what they've rated things, and then it will also, I was trying to see if it will show you recommendations. Right now, you can see a lot of my friends have been posting stuff, and so it's not, but also in this column you will get recommendations that say, hey, you read such and such a book, you might like this, or based on your reading history you're gonna like this. So they do a reading challenge every year, and that's why there's a lot of this kind of right now since the beginning of the year. So you set however many books that you want to read for the year in this reading challenge, which I already did. Mine is down here, my 2020 reading challenge. So I said that I'm going to read 102 books this year, which is about average for me. And as of today, I have not read any. And so as you go through the year, every time you mark a book as read, it will show up in your challenge. And then you can always view your challenge. You can actually go back and review the books that you've read, which I find really interesting. It's especially at the end of the year to go back and look at the things that you have read. So Goodreads is very easy to use. So there's a search box up here, and you can search three ways. You can search by the author name, by the title, or even by the ISBN number if you have that. And I would say if you're using the app, the ISBN number is the easiest way to do it. And in the app, you can actually take a picture. If you have a phone with a camera, you can actually scan it and it'll find it. It's pretty sweet. So say you're looking for Mary Higgins Clark. So you just type her name in and all of this stuff is going to come up. And of course, it's a keyword search, and they're trying to match you to the author's name first, and then they'll start going into other things. So as you scroll through, you're seeing various things and ebooks and all of that is in here. And you can see there's 35 pages for Mary Higgins Clark. And I would have said that I had read quite a lot of her things, but they're not showing up. So here you go. What I want to show you is, so here's her book, Where Are the Children? And so you can see here that it says that it's marked as read, meaning I've marked it as read. It shows you in the red stars in the entire Goodreads community. This is the average 4 out of 5 stars. Or I guess it's technically 4.03 out of 5 stars is what the average rating is. And then here it shows this was my rating, which is 3 stars, which means I liked it. So for every book you read, you can rate it 1 star, which is you did not like it, 2 stars, which was it was okay, 3 stars was that you liked it, 4 stars was that you really liked it, and 5 stars was that it was amazing. And how you choose to apply those classifications is up to you. Some people, you know, I see some of my friends really use the amazing. It was amazing a lot. I use that very sparingly. That's my personal choice, but then that's what works for me. And then it helps me know as I look back over things that I've rated, kind of how I rate them. So now so for here, like this one, it gives you the option to mark it as read. So if you have not marked it as something, you can mark it as read. Most of these are series. So again, you can see that it's some of these are already marked. Now, what if you wanted to search by title? If you go back up into the search, so I'm going to search by the book Barefoot Summer. And I am looking for the one Barefoot Summer by Denise Hunter. As you can see, there are 2 books called Barefoot Summer, one by Carolyn Brown, one by Denise Hunter. Now, if I was unsure of the author, what you can do is you can click on the title, and then you're going to get this whole description. So here's the little blurb from the New York Times bestselling author. And then you can see part of the description. You just click more to read the entire description. And then you have the option right underneath the picture of the cover to say if you want to mark it to read or not. So maybe I look at this and go, nope, that's not the right one. That's not the one I'm looking for. So I just hit the back button and go back. And then here's Barefoot Summer by Denise Hunter. So I'm going to look at this. Yep, that's the one I want to read. So I just click want to read. And it'll show you, it typically defaults to the hardcover or the paperback cover version. If you decide you want to read on one of your devices, which sometimes I read on my iPad, you can actually go in and switch the version to be that you're reading like a Kindle version. If you're persnickety about it the way I am, because the paging and stuff is different, because it does track you as you read through a book to tell you how far you are. The other thing you can do, like I said, is you can search by an ISBN number. So I happen to write down the ISBN number. The book I'm looking for is Engaging Father Christmas. So if you write it down, oh, that's not the one I wrote down. It's Summer by the Tides. Oh yes, that is also by Denise Hunter. That is the one I wrote down. So then it just pulls it right up and you can hit want to read. And then there you have it. So now the great thing, if I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to click on home, and it's going to take us back to the home page. So, and then I'm going to go here under my books. Now, part of the reason why I wanted to use my personal account is that I've been using it for many years, and so there's a lot more for you to see to kind of understand how it works. Obviously, if you're just starting in Goodreads, until you start filling in this information, your account will be a little sparse. Also, based on what books you put in as you've read, you want to read, we'll start the recommendations by Goodreads. And I will say the recommendations probably in the first 30 days that you're on Goodreads are a little shaky because it's really trying to figure out, based on everything you mark, what your style is that you like to read. And so it just kind of throws things out there. But the more you input, the more accurate that the recommendations get. And that's a nice thing about it. So when you join Goodreads, everybody, I just want you to look at this little section right here where it says bookshelves. You automatically get a shelf that is read, a shelf for currently reading, a shelf for want to read, and then a shelf for all. And then the number in parentheses is the number of books on those shelves. So everybody gets that. Beyond that, you can customize your own shelves. So for me, you can see I've added all of these shelves. And partly why I did this for me is I like old bookstores, and you can export your book lists into Excel, which is another feature I love about Goodreads, and like print it out or put it on a smart device where you can access it. And so for me, I started creating all of these shelves with the genres because it helped me find them when I went to this huge bookstore that I love. So I also created a shelf for the library so that I could mark on here the books that I want to read that are available at the library. So that also helped me, as opposed to going and buying them or just knowing where I could find them. So these are fully customizable. This is what I did for me because this is what works. You could create them in any way you want. You could make them by genre. You could, if there's 10 authors that you read and that's all you want to read, you could just create a shelf for each author. If you want to keep track of it by age group, you could create a shelf by age group, which is partly what I did as well. If you want them to just be a shelf of books that have been recommended to you by friends, you could create that shelf. And the nice thing is you just click. So for want to read, you just click on it one time and it comes up. And you'll see date added here has a little triangle by it. And that means you can change the order that it is showing. So it automatically defaults to show like the furthest out forward. So in here, 2012, I marked this book, The Book Thief, to read, and it shows you what shelves I put it on. But if I click date added, it'll resort. And you can see here, these two books, Barefoot Summer and Summer by the Tides by Denise Hunter, that we just put on my to read list, just show up and it shows you when. So that's pretty nifty too. The X's here mean that you can delete it off your list. You can also search by title and put them into alphabetical order by title or alphabetical order by author, and it will do it by author last name. Any of these that you can, if you touch them and there's a line under it, you can resort by. And you can have things on multiple shelves to keep track of them. And so at any point, if I want to say, I want a book and I want a book, something that I own at home that I have not read yet, and I had created a shelf for that, I can just go into that shelf, own, and I can just see all of the books that I have marked to read that I own. And so then you can see there's 37 pages. I have a lot of books at home to read, but it's hard when you work in a library and every day you find something else that you want to read. But then I can go through this and go, oh yeah, I forgot that I have this book by Jenny Colgan that I've been waiting to read. I can go find it on my own bookshelf. And things can be moved around off of your shelves at any point in time. So it's pretty easy. The other thing I like is if you go into your bookshelves, so here is the big search box up here at the top in the main bar, which is for the entire site. But here, under my books, there's a little search box. So if you know that you have put a book, and I'll just say by Jenny Colgan, on your shelf, or multiple books by her on your shelf, and you want to see them, you can search just within your shelves, which this is very helpful as well. So Jenny Colgan happens to be an author I really like. So you can see that I have a lot of things on here. So several, the ones at the top are to read, but then you start going through and you start seeing, I've read these and here are my ratings for what I've read. There's another page worth to go down. So it's pretty handy. So that is the overall kind of overview of Goodreads and what it can do for you. And so from here, we are actually going to move into a tutorial, and I'm going to get a little more specific for you about what you can and can't do and how to do it. So I hope you'll stay for that part, and we will get started. Okay, so this next half of the video is going to be a much more specific tutorial on how to do specific tasks within Goodreads. So I'm again going to share my screen so you can see my Goodreads account. There we go. All right, so again, here's your Goodreads account. Down the middle again is going to be what your friends are reading and also recommendations made by Goodreads. So again, the recommendations will get better with the more books that you put in. The books give them much more information for the algorithm that produces the recommendations, and it will get much more accurate. So we have friends. So how do you get friends? So if you go up here into this corner, you can see this little icon of the little people. And these are people that you could be friends with. Now you can be friends with actual people, like an individual, but you can also be friends with a business. So James Kennedy Public Library, for example, we actually do have a Goodreads page. And I try to scan in every week onto our Goodreads page the new items, new books that are hitting the shelves that week. So if you wanted to be friends with James Kennedy Public Library, on your Goodreads page, every time we scan stuff in, it would show up into your feed. Also, we do post reviews occasionally. I try to every other month or so post some reviews from staff on books that we've been reading that the library owns, and you would be able to see those as well. So you're at this friends screen and you can do certain things. So if you come right over here where it says find friends from, if you've got friends on Facebook or or in Gmail, you can go that route. Otherwise, you can input their name. So like if I say I want to be friends with Kim Benton, you type her name and hit search members. So it gives me everyone who's Kim Benton, and you can see like where they're located and pictures if they've added them. So then you would add as a friend the correct person. Now that person is going to get notified that they have received a friend request. They will have to accept that friend request before you can become friends. So it's real easy. Let's go back to the home page. All right, so here we are. So we're reading, and so you can see down here on the left the two books that I'm currently reading. So I've made progress on A Promised Land, and I want to update my progress because if you look right now, it tells you that I'm on page 75 of 751 pages, so I'm 10% done. So I want to update my progress. I've made a little progress. I've actually gotten up to page 125. And then you hit update progress, and then you can see it changes. So it's real easy to keep track and update. And I, for some reason, love updating my books. I just like to see the progress that I'm making. So what do you do when you've read a book? So here's this book that I've been reading, The Clue in the Diary. It's a Nancy Drew book, and I'm done. So again, you would update progress, but this time you would say, I'm finished. And so then it confirms the book that you've read. And then the first thing it wants you to do is it wants you to give your rating. So again, if you hover over the stars, it's out of 5 stars. It tells you what each star represents. Did not like, it was okay, liked it, really liked it, or it was amazing. So I liked it. So I hit 3 stars. So then now you can, and so now you'll see under bookshelves, it's automatically now dropped this book on to your red shelf. If you want to change any of your bookshelves, you would do that here. And we're going to dive a little more into bookshelves in a minute. But then under here, what did you think? This is where you can write a review. And you can write whatever you want. You can write however long you want it to be. You can write 1 sentence, you can write 3 paragraphs. And so they just want you to enter your review. And everyone does reviews differently. There's no right or wrong way to do it. I do reviews on books that really, for some reason, have really impacted me for some reason. That's when I choose to write a review. I don't like to write a review on everything I read. But so you would just say, like, you know, this book brought back memories of my childhood, which it did. Nancy Drew is an old childhood friend of mine, and I loved reading about her keepers. Short and sweet. Then there is this little part right here that says hide entire review because of spoilers. And obviously, I didn't give anything about the plot away in my review, so I don't need to check that. But if you are writing a review and you want to speak specifically to a plot point, that's fine. But what Goodreads asks is they give you this option to hide your entire review because of spoilers. Any review you write is can be accessed by anyone with a Goodreads account. So it is public. So keep that in mind. And the hiding of the spoilers is just a nice way as people are reading reviews on books that if they've not read the book yet and they don't want to have any plot points spoiled, they can opt to skip over the reviews that are hidden because of that, or they can choose to read them anyways. So it's up to you. So I've written my review in. Below that, it shows you the dates that you read the book. And then you can alter this. So if you realize that the dates aren't quite right, and then you can hit post. And once you hit post, it's done. And so then it kind of encapsulates it again for you, and you can see now it shows this is what you read, this was my review, this was my or rather this was my rating, this was my written review, here's my dates, and then people can then comment on my rating and my review if they want to. For you back to home. So it's, and then you'll notice from your currently reading list that that book is gone now. So searching for books. So you can search for books on the author's name, on the title of the book, or you can even use the ISBN number off of the back of the book. So it's real easy. So if you say, I want to find Denise Hunter books, just type her name in, and you can see things start to come up already. And I have no idea what just happened. Oh, the joys of technology. Let's try that again. There we go. And then you'll see, and as you start to scroll through her books, you can see things. So Barefoot Summer, I've already marked that I want to read it. Blue Ridge Sunrise, I've already marked that I have read it, but then here's other books of hers that I have not marked. Falling Like Snowflakes, want to read. Summer by the Tide. So you can start to see, so everything you've already kind of touched is on here, as well as everything she's read. So if you realize that this was the other book I wanted to read, was Carolina Breeze, you can just click want to read, and then it gets added to your want to read list. Now, if you know the title of the book, you can just type the title in. Remember, title, it's a keyword search, so it's going to match everything specifically at first. So here's The Memory House by Rachel Hoke, and then The Memory House by Linda Goodnight, and then we're going to keep going. So then this is The Loft by Betty Crosby, because Memory House is the name of the series, and kind of goes on, and it gets less precise the further you go. But you can look at these and say, okay, well, this is the one I was talking about, The Memory House. So again, if I want more information on this book, then I can just click on the title and I can read the description. And they always give you an abbreviated description, and you just click more to read the whole thing. You go, yep, that's the one I was looking of. So then just want to read. The other way to search is, obviously you can do a search. So if you know that you're looking for a book and you're pretty sure the word kitchen was in the book, you can just type kitchen into the search box, and it's going to start bringing everything up that relates to that, and you can scroll through. And then search, the other way you can search is just in your stuff specifically. So the searches we just did were the entire Goodreads database. But if you want to just go into your books, so you could just click across the top here, My Books. And then there's this little tiny search box right here. To the right of where it says My Books. Now, any search you do through here is just going to search your items. So if you say, I want to know what Denise Hunter books I've already put on to my shelf, I just type her name in, hit enter, and I can go through. So like here, I've marked this one to read, these I've read, to read, read, but you can see there's only 10 or 15 books here. But I know that she's written quite more than that, but these are the only ones I've ever looked at so far. So that's one way. This would be the other way. Same thing. If you know that you had put a book on one of your shelves, you know, that had the word kitchen in it. Again, if you type kitchen into the little box to the right of My Books, it will bring up every book on your shelves that has the word kitchen in it. And then, so you can see I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, about 8 books. And I can see if that's what I'm looking for. So it's nice if you're pretty sure that you have already added things under your shelves to not have to search the entire database, but just have to search within your own stuff. So you have all these bookshelves. And as I'd said in the demo part, Goodreads automatically sets you up with a read, a currently reading, and a want to read shelf. And the numbers after each shelf are how many items are currently on that shelf. So my want to read shelf has 425 items. That is the hazard of being a librarian and working around books all the time. And so you just click on the shelf. Each shelf is hyperlinked. You can open up your entire shelf. And the nice thing in here is you can sort. So it comes up typically by date added, but you can kind of change everything. So say I want to resort my shelf into title. So right now you see Book Thief is at the top, but if I click title, it's going to resort. And now 500 Miles from You is at the top. You can sort by author, so you can put them in an author order. You can, anything that hyperlinks, your ratings, the shelves you have it on, the date read, the date added. I like the date added, so sort by date added. And it starts from oldest, April of 2012, to newest. But you see this little tiny arrow next to date added. If you click that little arrow, it'll reverse the date added and sort from newest to oldest. So that's kind of nice, because sometimes I get on this kick where I want to start with the things I've marked a long time ago to read and kind of clear them out and read them or not. And that's one way to do it. So also, sometimes you'll put books on your shelf and you'll realize later, I don't really want to read that. And you can remove them from your shelf. So here we are, we're in my books. And if you want to search within the shelf, so there's this book called The Tattered Prayer Book. It's been sitting, here you go. See, it came right up. It's marked red. You can see it's been on my to read shelf since 2013. And I haven't read it yet. And I came across the book and I looked at it and I realized, I'm not really interested in reading that anymore. So then what you can do is click on this little X and you'll get a pop-up asking if you're sure. Because once you do this, it's done. If you realize that that was the wrong book, you'll have to just manually put the book back on your shelf. Hit OK. And then now you'll see you get this message that says you have no books matching Tattered Prayer Book because it's now been deleted off of the shelf. So, all right. So since we're standing here talking about shelves, let's keep talking about them. So one of the things I love about Goodreads is that you can customize it to really be what you want. And you do that by adding your own bookshelves. And you can see down here, so again, these are the 3 bookshelves that Goodreads automatically gives you. And then you can create all your own bookshelves. And you can see I've created all of these. I created a shelf for books that I could not finish. And then the rest of these are by genre. And I also have one called The Library. And this one is for books that I want to read that I know that the library owns. So that if I'm looking at stuff on Amazon or I'm in a used bookstore, I don't purchase it when I know that I can already get it from the library. So all of these shelves I've created, and there's no rhyme or reason. You do what works for you. I did it this way because I'm obviously a big book lover. I love used bookstores, and pre-pandemic had a bookstore that I frequented a lot. And what I liked to do was be able to print off my list of books that I want to read, which you can do, which we're going to do next, and take it with me. And the easiest thing to do was to have them categorized by genre because that is how the bookstore did it. So, and also this helps because I like it this way because sometimes I know that I want to read a mystery. Sometimes I know that I want to read a graphic novel and I can just go right to my genres. But you figure out however best, helps you organize. One of the other ones I did as well is own. And this for me is, these are books that I personally own. And I also code them this way so that I don't buy them again, or so that I don't, so that I know that I have them if I'm looking for something, if I'm making a recommendation to someone, especially if it's a personal recommendation, I know I have the book and I can lend it to them. So say we want to create a new shelf and we want to create a shelf called Friends. And this shelf is going to be recommendations that my friends have made for books to read, that I just want one shelf of what they've been recommending to me. So you go down to the bottom of your shelves and there's an add shelf. Click on it and you type in what you want the shelf name to be. And I'm just going to shorten it from Friends Recommendations to Friends Recs. And we're going to click add. So now you see Friend Rex has showed up, but there's no books on the shelf. So how do you get a book on the shelf? Well, you got to find it. So let's say I know Book Club was reading this book called Gingerbread. There it is by Helen Oyemi. Click that. And so this book was recommended to me. So I'm going to mark it as to read. You have to do that first. And then next to the want to read, there's this little green button. And if you hover over it, it opens and it pulls down a list showing all of your bookshelves. And you click which shelf you want it on. So I know this was recommended by a friend, so I'm going to do that. I also happen to know that the library owns this book, so I'm going to click it on there. And you can put this on as many shelves as you want. So there's no limit to that. You can also change it if you realize that later that that's not the shelf you want it on. So you put those on, and all you have to do, you don't have to do anything. It automatically saves it. Just pull your mouse away. It'll hover there for a few seconds, and then it will save. So then to show you that, we're going to go back into my books. And here's Friends Rex. Now you can see there's one book, and here's the one book that's on here. So there it is. And then this way here under shelves is where you could edit it. You could say, nope, don't want it. The library doesn't have it after all. I'm going to take that off, or I'm going to change it. I bought the book. I'm going to change it to own. You can make all your changes here. So again, the shelves, you create as many as you want and organize them the way that it helps you to keep your books organized. So I talked about exporting. This is one of the functions I love about Goodreads, is that you can export your entire library out to Excel and put it in there, and then you can organize it in Excel. Now, it is a lot of information that it exports. So here on the My Books page, we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom, all the way under Tools, and it's Import and Export. And we want to export library. And so this can take a couple of minutes, and it is going to export your entire library. So every book that is on any of your shelves, which obviously can be a lot of information. And so once the export is done, that's when you can go in and kind of clean up the report and whatnot. So this is going to take a few minutes to export. So I am going to pause for a moment, and we will be back once it is done. Okay, so we are back. It's been a couple minutes, which is what Goodreads needed to get the export done on my file. So we're back in my Goodreads. So under here where we had export, now it says your export. It's right here, and it's a hyperlink. We're going to click that, and it kind of drops it at the bottom, and you got to open it. And then I have to go back in and move over to share the screen. So this is kind of terrifying to look at, I realize, but this is your entire Goodreads library dropped into an Excel file. It looks like a lot, but what you'll notice is, first of all, is that the columns are really small, which is partly why the information looks so kind of compacted on each other. So if you start to open up some of these columns and just make them a hair wider, you'll start to realize it's not as scary as it looks. Basically, there's a book ID from Goodreads. Here would be your title. Here would be your author name, first name, then last name, your author name in reverse. If there's co-authors, your ISBN numbers. And it gives you a lot of information you don't need. Your publisher, your binding, the year it was published. Let's make these a little bigger so you can read the dates that these were put onto your shelves, the bookshelves, all of that. So it gives you all of this information, and basically it's up to you to decide what you need to use and what you don't. So for me, I just start by eliminating the information I don't want. So I am going to keep the authors as sorted by last name, first name, so that I'm just going to delete the columns that I don't want. I don't need ISBN numbers. I don't need ratings. That's not the information I want. Publisher, year published, date read, date added. I don't need any of that. We do want shelves, and they give you 3 sets of columns with shelves. And scroll back over a little bit. So they show you, that shows you the bookshelves, which is every bookshelf your item is on, bookshelves with positions, which, so like the 426 here means that this was the 426th book that I had marked to read the shelf. I don't really need to know the positions, so I'm gonna get rid of that. Exclusive shelf. So this only shows like the primary shelf that it's on, doesn't show which is to read, want to read, or to read, currently reading, or read. It doesn't show all of the shelves that you have created. So I don't want that. I want to be able to see all the shelves. I'm gonna get rid of that. And there's all this other stuff. Just gonna get rid of it. Don't need it. So then now now it's not so scary. And now we've got it down to, and I'm gonna get rid of the book ID. Now we've got it down to the title, the author, and the bookshelves. And then here you can sort. So we're gonna sort this whole thing. And I wanna sort it by bookshelves. Gotta sort, which is column C. Now, I realize I'm just blowing through Excel here, so I'm making the assumption that you've used Excel and can do some of this already. But so here I sorted by bookshelves, and now it's re-put everything together. So here's everything, all the books I could not finish, put all together. And then we're gonna scroll down, and then you start seeing, here's everything I've categorized as inspirational fiction, everything I've categorized as mystery, for Neighbors, which is currently called Bridges, but was called Neighbors when I created the shelf, and I've never changed it. Nonfiction. So this is great because now you can kind of play with the information. You can resort by author, you can resort by title. I find this helpful. Like I said, I take this to used bookstores with me. I go through it. I can pull out everything that I own, delete everything that's on my list that I couldn't finish, and just kind of pare it down. If you are, making recommendations to someone with a list of your favorite romance novels and you have a romance shelf, you can sort them all out, print it out, hand it over, or email it that way. So it's just a nice option to have if you want it. Obviously you don't have to. So, all right, I'm going to stop sharing that and go back into Zoom. So we're going to go jump back over into the Goodreads, and I'm going to show you one final thing. And we're going to go back up here to the home page. So obviously Goodreads is about books, but there's a lot of things that go along with that, book lovers often like, which is quotes and trivia, and Goodreads has all of that as well. So if you go under community, first of all, what I wanted to say is there are groups. I will show you this. So some of these groups are private. You have to get permission to join. Some are public. And if you're in a group, they will notify you of things being read and things being discussed and whatever else they are doing. So you can see here, Read with Jenna. So Jenna Bush Hager from the Today Show has started sort of a book club. So she's got this on Goodreads and you can follow her. You'll see that Oprah's book club is also on here, and Reese Witherspoon's is also on here, although here it is down here. And there are groups for all kinds of things, specific genres, whatnot. So you can find that. Discussions. There are a lot of authors on Goodreads who blog, and you can choose to follow them, and then they sometimes have real-time question and answer online, sometimes have like pre-submitted questions and they'll answer them, and so you can do that. But here's quotes. So if you love quotes, this is the place for you. So what comes up is always what's popular. If you know that you're looking for a quote that's regarding love, you can, or you're looking for a Shakespeare quote, type it in. So we'll do Shakespeare. Here's all the here's a whole bunch of famous Shakespeare quotes. The other thing is, if you scroll down here, you can see these are things that have been tagged. So if you know you're looking for life quotes, well, there's 63,000 life quotes on Goodreads. If you're looking for truth quotes, there's 19,000. You can just click again on the hyperlink and bring them up. So it's kind of fun if you're looking for a quote for somebody, or you just like little quotes. It's kind of fun to peruse. There's trivia as well. So if you like trivia, there's this sort of ongoing trivia game where you just play against yourself and you answer the question and then move on. So kind of fun. There's other things that you can do in the community. There are events, creative writing, other things that you can explore. So that is it for this tutorial of Goodreads. I hope this answers some of your questions. I realize that if you watch this entire video, it's a little long, but I hope that it gave you a real good sense of the things that you can really use Goodreads for. It's pretty amazing. And hopefully if you've been using it and didn't know how to work some of the functions, hopefully this video answered your question. And I'm going to say, I'm here at the library, so if you have more questions on Goodreads or you want more information, please feel free to contact me. I'm happy to answer your questions. And with that, I say happy reading.